Hello YouTube, this is Mahadev the Thunder Wizard. Happy Halloween. I know it is Halloween, at least where I am, October 31st. And believe it or not, this is a Halloween message. Because it is on Halloween, traditionally, and this time of year. I don't know if it falls exactly on this date, but there's something that happens every year, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, right around October 31st, where the veil between the living in the 3D and the spiritual, which is really, it's not what we thought it was. The veil between 3D and other dimensions becomes the thinnest. And it is traditionally at this time that people do something to honor those who have passed beyond the veil. Originally, Halloween was really about connecting to loved ones that had passed away. And in ancient times, when the earth had some similarities to what it has now, which is that the electromagnetic field around the earth was different back then to such a degree where you could interact with your deceased loved ones. You could even see them, talk to them, learn from them, be empowered by them. And then it sort of turned into this day of, having to run away from evil spirits. And that, our modern day Halloween, comes from a Celtic tradition where people would dress up and look like evil demons in an attempt to trick spirits, ghosts, because they thought if they had caused harm to one of their relatives that had passed on, that relative on Halloween could then come in and find you and, seek revenge. So they wore costumes in an attempt to trick the spirits so that the ghosts couldn't find them. That's what that's all about. But that's not really what this day is about. This day is about tapping into realms beyond our three-dimensional perception. This Halloween is the most powerful Halloween, perhaps, in human history. And we may never have another 3D Halloween again. I can't say for sure that's going to be the case, but it would not surprise me if this was the last three-dimensional Halloween that we have. We are, as I said, we are experiencing a multiple of things going on. Right now we're in between the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. And that creates a very intense time spiritually. This is when you're in the eclipse season between these two eclipses, when they're almost back to back like this. You end up having things being revealed. So things beyond the veil are revealed. This is the power of these eclipses. If you ever are aware of an eclipse, whether lunar or solar, you should be doing meditation during those times, because your meditations will be empowered significantly if you do that. And so we've got that going on. We're in between eclipses. It's naturally the time of the year when that happens. It's Halloween. And then we're going through this period where the Earth is, the electromagnetic field is at the lowest it's been, I think, in recorded history. The poles are shifting. The electromagnetic field is all over the place. And that means that we are getting bombarded with solar energy and other energies from other planets. But it also means that our ability to connect to higher dimensions is more powerful than ever. And so I thought today would be a great day to announce the revolution. The revolution, the transdimensional revolution. So hashtag Transdimensional revolution. I am seeking to start that hashtag. So if you have a Twitter account, start throwing that hashtag around. Hashtag transdimensional revolution. I'm probably going to be coming back to this a lot because I don't think there's anything more profound that can be done right now. As it turns out, everything that I've been training my whole life and everything that I've been teaching my whole life is actually what we need. I was about to say what every human needs, but I'm not going to go that far. But everything that I teach here on this channel, all of the practices, all of the meditations, all of the energy work is designed to help your energy as well as your nervous system, the cells of your body, to shift up to a higher level of dimension. And as I've been sharing with you about the Maoshan practices, which are on sale right now, go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com to see. As I've been talking about those practices, the realm, what we would call the dimension that these practitioners sought, like they deliberately, consciously sought to connect with a dimension that they called the heaven of greatest purity, or the heaven of the highest purity. That means they're seeking to connect to a dimension that vibrates at the highest level. So the beings that live in the realm of great purity are the beings that were coming to them, that were teaching them. So all of the practices that I've been sharing with you are coming from that dimension. We can debate what dimension that is. Is that the 9th dimension, the 5th dimension? I don't know. But I can say that even if it's just the 5th dimension, which would be the next dimension up, even though we live in the 3rd dimension, actually the 4th dimension is time. So we interact with the 4th dimension. So the next highest level we would get to would be the 5th dimension. But even if we were to just get energy from the 5th dimension, the vibration of that dimension is so much more intense and is so much higher than even the highest we can achieve in 3 dimensions. Is if we were to feel the full brunt of the 5th dimension, we would explode. We would fade out of existence. We would no longer be in 3D. It is very intense. And even though I've been practicing very high dimensional, very high vibrational practices, I didn't know what these dimensions felt like until I initiated contact with beings from these higher dimensions. So let's talk about the interdimensional revolution. And I want you to take that seriously. I'm not just coming up with a catchphrase, although I hope it does catch on. I'm not just coming up with a catchphrase. I'm very serious about this. I am currently in a revolution. It's an interdimensional revolution. It is a revolution that goes beyond any revolution that has ever happened on planet Earth. It is not a political revolution. It is not a military revolution. It is not a social revolution. It is not a spiritual revolution. It is not a religious revolution. It is not a philosophical revolution. It is a revolution that expands beyond any revolution that has ever happened, because any revolution that has ever happened has been confined to the 3rd dimension. We're not just moving beyond and rebelling against authority figures, governments. We're not trying to rewrite governments like the supposed American Revolution did. Supposedly that was designed to rewrite politics and create a freer society for people. It was a real revolution in political governance, supposedly. This isn't anything like that. It is far beyond that, because to be a part of this revolution means that you reject everything in 3 dimensions. You are rejecting everything associated with what you've thought it meant to be human. Everything. So let's take a look at what this is. I wrote up a little list here. Oops, that's not what I want to see. There it is. So here's the transdimensional revolution. So the goals of the revolution. Number 1, to disconnect human awareness from mind control influence of 3D corporate elite. To disconnect human awareness from mind control influence of 3D corporate elite. So I tried to be as specific as possible there. I'm talking from personal experience here. If you've been on my channel for more than a year, if you've been on my channel a year and a half or more, then you know that before September of 2021, you know that I was an unwitting sponsor of the mainstream corporate narrative. Even though I wasn't political, even though I was focused on spiritual things, even though all of those things were true. If you asked me, was there a cabal of very powerful, very rich people that are controlling all of the governments on the planet through corporate business interests, I would have laughed. In fact, I did on a regular basis. Whenever anybody came on my channel and said anything along those lines, I would publicly humiliate them. I have a good mind. I'm a critical thinker, even though back then I was wrong. I'm still a critical thinker. And I'm really good at finding people's emotional biases and the things that are blinding them emotionally. Because here's the sad truth. Even though many people who were wanting me to know what was really going on had knowledge of the truth, they still were conflating and confusing and, conflating things like, being an open-minded person means you have to be a flat earther. And, so they can't differentiate. They didn't have the emotional maturity to separate and not be emotionally attached to finding out what the truth was. They were right about one thing, which is that they were being lied to, they were being manipulated, they were being controlled and minimized and programmed. That part they had right. What they didn't have right was some of the information that they had. And because I'm a smart guy, I can tell when somebody doesn't know about something, and so I would destroy them. So I'm here telling you that I am one of these people who, number 1, needed to disconnect my human awareness from the mind control influence of the 3D corporate elite. But it goes deeper than that. The mind control programming of the 3D corporate elite, what they're really doing is they're just taking advantage of human beings' existing emotional and psychological limitations within 3D. The 3-dimensional dimension that we live in, has within it, the result of it is that you feel isolated. So here's the truth of the matter. If we think of consciousness and reality as like a central little circle, right? Like total, utter, complete consciousness and connection. It would be a tiny little circle here in the middle. And then we would put balls on top of it. Well, as you go further and further away from the center, you go to lower dimensions. So let's use the 9th dimension, even though there might be more. So the 9th dimension might be complete, total, utter, conscious connection and awareness. You would go to the next level, which would be the 8th dimension, and then the 7th, the 6th, the 5th, and then the 3rd. So the 3rd would be like walking on the surface of the outermost part of the enclosure of all of the dimensions. It's being out in the middle of nowhere. It's like being, completely as far away from all of what's happening it's like being in the middle of the desert. There's just nothing there. So in terms of energy and consciousness, the 3rd dimension is as far away from it as you can get. And so our end result experience is that we feel disconnected. We feel isolated. The result of feeling isolated is that you feel separate. You can feel that your consciousness is separate from other consciousness. This is why, Christians, when they knock on your door and they have the four spiritual laws, and they say, you are separate from God, even though that's completely, totally false. You buy it because you feel that way. You feel separated. You feel abandoned. You feel rejected. You feel unloved. Because in the 3rd dimension, it is very easy to completely feel isolated energetically, spiritually, emotionally, dimensionally. So they're only taking advantage of what you already feel. Now, if you are educated and if you are plugged in spiritually, energetically, if you are plugged in, then those mind control programs are going to have a lot less traction. So in order for them to have the most traction possible, they have to create a system whereby they can have access to the minds of all of their citizens. I have to say, the smartest people on planet Earth, the smartest civilization, it's not a civilization really, but the smartest people on planet Earth are the people who live on, what is that island in the middle of the Indian Ocean? There's an island in the Indian Ocean where there is indigenous people who have lived there for hundreds of thousands of years, and they've had almost no contact with the outside world. And anybody who tries to come onto their island, they throw spears and rocks, and so the Indian government has made them off limits. And we know almost nothing about them, and they know almost nothing about us, except they have the right understanding. They believe that everybody who lives off of their island is a demon. And even if you go and you leave a pig for them, they will bury the pig. They will kill it and bury it because they won't take any gifts from demons. Now, they might not have all of the complete truth, but they are absolutely right if they hook their minds up to the reality that everybody else is living under. They will end up being pulled by demons, whether or not those are real demons or human demons, it doesn't matter. They will be pulled into a mindset where they can be controlled, manipulated, and destroyed. Of course, probably what will kill them off would be diseases, because they don't have the immunity for it. Anyway, that was a long sidetrack. So, number 1, disconnect our human awareness from mind control influence of 3D corporate elite, which means you have to understand and accept the reality that there is nothing in this society that you can look at face value that's being given to you in the mainstream narrative that at least doesn't deserve to be severely looked at. Now, if you look at it, if you examine it, you will find out what is untrue. So now they have to control that, and that is done through censorship and in lockdowns, and in some cases you can be thrown in prison for having the wrong belief, for saying the wrong thing. And anyway, so that's number one, is to disconnect from our human awareness from the mind control influence of 3D corporate elite. The second goal of the revolution is to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious multi-dimensional universe. Let me repeat that. The second goal of the revolution is to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious multi-dimensional universe. So what you have been led to believe, which again is piggybacking on your 3D experience, that you're isolated, that you're alone, that there is no such thing as, to be honest, the easiest thing to believe is to be an atheist. Because if you go by the experience of being in 3D, it's very hard to feel that there's any kind of spiritual consciousness anywhere. In fact, it's really easy to come to the conclusion that we're all just a bunch of electrical impulses, and that there isn't any such thing as life, nothing spiritual, there is no soul, nothing like that. So on this second goal, we need to understand that our true identity is as free citizens of the conscious multidimensional universe. So we live in a multidimensional universe. Now, even though scientists have come to this understanding that we live in a multidimensional universe, scientists don't really know what those are, and they don't have any idea if there's any life in them. They don't know. So we don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it unless, myself and perhaps you, unless you've connected with these higher dimensions through meditation or other means, connected with beings in those dimensions, you don't have any idea what it exists or if it exists. It's very easy to believe what religion has taught you, and religion, again, is simply taking advantage of your feeling of isolation and separation and saying that we are the only beings in the universe, that there are no other conscious beings. But even if you believe, as a lot of people do, that there are conscious beings in the universe, you unconsciously assume that they live in the same 3D bubble that you do. So scientifically speaking, if beings only existed in the third dimension, then it would be impossible for us to have contact with any conscious beings outside of Earth, because they would be so far away from us that it would be literally impossible for us to travel to them or them to travel to us, because it would take too long. They would die in the process. Hundreds or thousands or millions of light years from us, there's no way that we could connect with them. So for all intents and purposes, we are alone in the universe. We are the only conscious beings in the universe, unless you realize you live in a multi-dimensional universe. Now, once you do connect to higher dimensions, when you connect to higher dimensions, you become aware very quickly that once you're out of 3D, just by the fact that you've moved beyond 3D, you feel the consciousness of everything around you. You become aware very quickly that there is such a thing as a quantum conscious field, what people might call God. The way that, again, Abrahamic religion has described God as being this omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, conscious field. And if we take away all of his serious narcissism and his judgment and his desire to punish people and do all kinds of create floods and kill people with boils and plagues and things like that, that apparently he loves to do. if we separate that psychological craziness and we're stuck with the omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent conscious field, then we could call that a quantum conscious field. We could call it the one. We could call it source. And when you understand that, once you tap into any dimension higher than the third dimension, you become aware that literally everything, my coffee cup, my tea bags, my tea, everything has a dynamic consciousness within it. Because you can't go anywhere in the multiverse and be separate from this consciousness. You also find out very quickly that this consciousness is filled with love, intense love. You become aware that all beings are filled with this, and that there's filaments of connection that go from one being to another. In science, they say, it's the quantum something or other principle. I can't think very well when I got too many ideas in my head. But quantum entanglement, that even something on the other side of, as far away physically from you that you can get in the universe, everything there is entangled with you. It experiences you, the same consciousness that is there in those things or those beings are there with you simultaneously. There is no separation. You become aware of this the moment you connect to any dimension higher than your own. So the second goal of the revolution, to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious multidimensional universe. So once you understand that everything is filled with intense love, and every conscious being outside of the third dimension feels you, and sees themselves in you, which means they have empathy for you. They love you as part of themselves. When you understand that, then you understand that your true identity is that you are a free citizen of the multiverse. And let me tell you, I've just been going through this because I was out of the country for a couple of years. I changed states, and I tried to go get a driver's license, and I walked into the DMV here in Florida with my California driver's license, and I said, I want a new driver's license, and here's my address. And they said, no, you have to bring your birth certificate, your social security card, and they listed all these things. And I was like, are you serious? I mean, this is like an identification card. And all I want is, no, I had to prove to them that I was a citizen. And so just by being alive and walking around isn't enough. But in reality, in the multidimensional multiverse, there is only one requirement that you must have in order to be a citizen of the entire multiverse. That means this one thing automatically qualifies you to be a resident and equal citizen with all of the rights associated with it. In any civilization, anywhere in the universe. And that one thing is that you are conscious. That you are a being who has feelings, and you are aware that you exist, and you know, like in this moment, I am awake and alive, and I know that I exist. I know that I have feelings. I know that I have thoughts. That is all that is required. When you have that, you are automatically a free citizen in the multidimensional multiverse. You are a citizen that is seen and valued and loved. Because only in the third dimension is there something called judgment, exclusion, punishment, evil, hatred. Only in the third dimension. And that is the result of our experience of being separate and excluded. Our experience of being separate and alone fills us with fear, fills us with anger, makes us feel unloved, makes us experience other people's fear and feeling of isolation, and so we're on the other end of their fear and their anger and their hatred, and they do horrible, mean things to us, and we buy into it. That's part of the programming. We buy into it. Religion is a perfect example. You're separate from God, and God has to punish you unless you do these certain things to become part of our club. And then you just have to follow a bunch of rules after that. And then maybe. Or for me, to be a citizen of the United States, I got to have a Social Security card. I got nothing against any of that. But that is unique to three-dimensional reality. In the multiverse, there is no such thing. Because the moment that you connect in any way with another being outside of 3D, that being immediately feels your consciousness. They can feel your feelings. They can feel your energy. They can see themselves within you, and they recognize you as part of themselves. You don't have to pull out any kind of identification card. You don't have to do anything. They immediately see it in you and they accept you. In fact, in higher dimensions, they can see your past lives, your karma, what you've gone through, all of your thoughts, all of your feelings. So you don't have to sit and go on a bunch of dates to try and explain to yourself who you are and see if you can get to know each other. They know everything there is to know about you from the moment that they see you, and they accept it and they love it. They love you 100%. That's again in a higher dimension. So the second goal of the revolution is to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious, multi-dimensional universe. The third goal of the transdimensional revolution is to awaken inherent, dormant, 5D spiritual energies of human beings. So the good news is that even though we live in this third dimension that does give us this experience of isolation and exclusion and feeling disconnected from life, making it challenging for us to be loved and to find love and to connect, even though all that is true, within us is in our DNA, in our chakras, in the energy meridians, in the 3 energy centers in the body. Did I mention the nervous system already? All of these things have within them dormant capabilities that when they are flipped on, when they are switched on, we then can have higher dimensional experiences. We can have higher dimensional connections. We can have the ability to connect to higher dimensions through meditation. We can have the ability to have more deep emotional and energetic experiences with other humans. We can connect with the energy field of the earth, the conscious energy of our mother, plants, animals. We can connect to the spiritual realm. We have these abilities within us. They are dormant in most people, and what keeps them dormant is the 3-dimensional mind control that the corporate elite continue to flood your consciousness with your religion, with your society, with internet, television, there's a reason why. You understand your telephone, your cell phone is a military piece of equipment. It was originally created for the military. So you know that the military never gives anything up to the public unless it's in their best interest. So why would the deep state, why would the corporate elite who run the military, why would they allow you to have that? very powerful piece of equipment. Well, it's because through that phone, and the younger you are, I mean, I barely use my phone. I'll tell you, I use my phone for one thing, and that is to play music. That's it. When I go to the gym, I have my music on my phone, and bear in mind, all of that is still new to me. I still remember walking around with a Walkman, where you took a cassette and stuck it in a thing and then pressed play. And it was, man, that was amazing, because you could put on the crappy headphones and you could listen to music walking around without having to carry a boombox or a record player. I mean, that was amazing. So that to me is still high tech, and that's the only reason I use my phone. I mean, I think I can count on, less than one hand the amount of people that have my phone number. And nobody calls me. So, if I want to reach out to somebody, I'll call them or whatever. But, the idea, especially if you're 30 years or younger, you have no idea how totally programmed you are by all of the technology that's around you. So, how did I get on top of that subject? We are awakening inherent dormant 5D spiritual energies of human beings. That is what these practices are all about. That's what this channel is all about. So my channel finally can blossom into what it's supposed to be. Because now, more than ever, what human beings need is energy practices, spiritual warfare, energy practices and meditations that seek to destroy the evil influences on you, which include the influence of society, of technology, mainstream media, YouTube, all that stuff. That's what these practices are here to do. These practices also will destroy the limitations inside of you. You feel limited. I know you do, because I experience it as well. You feel limited within 3D. You think that nobody loves you. You think that nobody exists. You wonder if you're the only being in the universe that exists, right? I remember being a little kid, and this is before all the garbage that's completely inundating people's minds now. But I remember being a little kid and thinking I was the only being in the universe that had emotions. I thought I lived in a world of robots. I didn't understand that what I was realizing was that I was surrounded by narcissistic people who didn't have empathy. And I didn't feel like anybody saw me or connected with me or loved me. And so I was the only being in the universe that had emotions. Of course, none of that is true. Everybody has emotions. But that is the result of living in 3D. If you want to get beyond that, then it's going to take very powerful energies to push you beyond your 3D perception. So the goals of this transdimensional revolution, the goals of it are, number one, to disconnect human awareness from mind control influence of 3D corporate elite. 2, to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious multidimensional universe. 3, to awaken inherent dormant 5D spiritual energies. And then we go to the methods of the revolution. All right, so we've got 5 methods. And what I mean by that is what you do in this revolution. If you choose to be part of this revolution, which I invite you to be part of this revolution. If you want to be part of this revolution, then what you will need to do is you'll need to engage actively in this revolution. Now, as I said, it's not a military revolution. It's not a society revolution. It's not a culture revolution. It's not a religious revolution. It's not a monetary revolution. It's none of those things. It is the revolution of rebelling against the third dimension. We are conquering it, going beyond it. If you do nothing, the third dimension will win. So I remember just recently read a comment of somebody commenting on one of my other, Odyssey platform or something. And I was about to say I couldn't believe it. I do believe it. But this person was saying, yeah, I'm just here to watch, and I'm not here to get anything out of life, so I'm not going to do the work. And, I'm already, awakened and all that. And that's pure nonsense. That's somebody who feels so trapped and is so frightened that they spiritualize their inability to function. They spiritualize their weakness. They spiritualize their, just being incapable of any movement. They spiritualize it by saying, no, I'm just here to observe. No. Nobody is here to observe. This universe is a participatory universe. It is a universe of energy and action. You cannot wait it out. If you do nothing, you have already been completely controlled by the third dimension. And you will experience all of the negativity of the third dimension. Isolation, exclusion, feeling unloved, angry, victimized, all of that. The easiest way to feel like that is to do nothing. So if you want to overcome the limitations of the third dimension, which include feeling alone, feeling unloved, feeling physically unwell, feeling psychologically unwell, feeling spiritually disconnected, etc., 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 etc. If you want to go beyond all of that, then you're going to have to partake in the revolution. So, how are we going to do that? Number one, we are going to rejection of the elite mainstream narrative. This is something that I had to do, and I've been doing it for the past year and a half. I have been, once I became aware that the narrative behind all of the craziness that's been going on for the past 2.5 years, which I can't talk about on YouTube, but I can now on Twitter, hashtag transdimensional revolution. When I became aware of the extent of the deception, when I became aware that millions upon millions of people were losing their lives as the result of the conscious, deliberate actions of supposed organizations that were independent, that actually turned out to be running and controlling all of the governments of the world, when I saw how many people were dying and that it was clearly being consciously done and it was a conscious lie, when I saw that, my understanding of society and humanity was completely destroyed. And then I was open to hear anything. From that point on, I started opening up my understanding about what was going on, and it became absolutely apparent to me that there was, in fact, a deep state, a corporate elite that was, in fact, completely running the whole world and had been doing so for hundreds of years, been controlling religion, been controlling media, been controlling education, all of that. But it didn't stop there. As you know, then just a few months ago, I then decided to see if there really actually were beings that were visiting us from higher dimensions. I was very happy with that idea, but I didn't know if it was true. So I did the CE5 protocols, which I recommend you do if you're interested in that. The letter C, the letter E, the number 5, and then protocols. Don't ask me what it is. You're perfectly capable of typing it into Google and finding out for yourself. By doing CE5 protocols, I made contact with beings from higher dimensions that absolutely, totally shattered my understanding of reality and introduced me to a visceral, physical, psychological, energetic, and spiritual experience of higher dimensions. Then the awareness of the Mandela effect, which I was totally clueless about, and understanding that the reality that we live in really it's just nothing. It is an illusion at best. And it's a very flimsy illusion. If you breathe on it too hard, it falls apart. So I became very aware that I live in an illusion, a dream, which we experience as the third dimension. Where did that come from? Why did I get on that subject? So rejecting the elite mainstream narrative is the first method. The second method of revolution is to reverse personal devaluation programming. So what does that mean? So reversing your personal devaluation programming starts with understanding what evil is. And since we're talking here on Halloween, people like to watch scary movies and look at evil. But evil, no matter what kind of evil we're talking about, whether it's serial killers, whether it's vampires, whether it's demons, whether it's corporate elite, whether it's narcissistic people, whether it's that mean girl in high school who wouldn't give you the time of day, whether it's somebody does anything, just even dismisses you and doesn't say hi to you, we could all characterize all of that as evil. It's just varying gradations of how bad it feels. And some of it is really horrible. I mean, the things that are done to people without any, young people, people that can't defend themselves, all the way down to, your family member, saying a mean thing to you because they're in a bad mood. It all comes down to the same thing. It's all gradations of the same thing, which I'm calling devaluation. You're being devalued. Devaluation says in some way that you don't deserve to exist. You're unlovable. Whether it's because you feel stupid because you said the wrong thing, or it's because somebody's going to kill you and chop you up and have you for dinner. No matter where along that giant scale, there's one thing that's happening. You're being told that you don't matter, that you don't have value, that you don't deserve to exist, or you don't exist. And this is called devaluation, and this is evil. Evil is nothing more than that. And what we are finding out is that once you go beyond the third dimension, no conscious being is ever devalued. Ever. You will never encounter a fifth dimensional or higher being that will ever do or say anything that will make you feel unvalued. Never. This is how you know, by the way, when you're communicating with a higher dimensional being, they will only say or do things that make you feel validated. They will only do and say loving things. So the second method of the transdimensional revolution is to reverse all of the personal devaluation programming, which means your most important action that you must take to the best of your ability, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is to value yourself. You must see yourself as the most important conscious being in the universe. You must see your fulfillment, your happiness, your comfort is the most important thing that can ever be accomplished. Now, before you start saying, oh, well, that's selfish, understand that what you might think somebody's doing that's being selfish, a narcissistic person. If a narcissistic person, say, wants to steal your lunch money, you could twist it around and say, well, they were just doing what was best for them, what they wanted to do. They were fighting against devaluation. No, actually they weren't. They were acting from a place of devaluation, because in order to steal your lunch money, they must believe that they don't deserve their own lunch money. They must believe, even if they don't have any lunch money and they're hungry, they must believe that nothing and nobody and the universe will not make sure that they're taken care of. They must believe they are unloved. And so in order to get their needs met, they think that they have to steal from somebody else. What they're really doing is they say, you have lunch money, which means the universe loves you. The universe doesn't love me. I want to be loved, so I'm going to steal your lunch money. You know, it's like, one of the, I used to be an actor, as you know, and early on in my career, I worked hard. I wanted to be a big famous actor, and I didn't become one. But even though it would have been very easy for me to say, oh, look at so-and-so, they got famous, like they stole my fame from me, Keanu Reeves, or, I could think of actors whose ability I don't like, and they got famous and I didn't. But, I've always known that it's not like there was one chunk of fame and they stole it and it was mine. And I just... for whatever reason, things didn't line up and I didn't do the work and I didn't end up there. It's not because anything was taken from me. So to think that you have to steal somebody's lunch money to get lunch means that you don't believe that you are loved. So loving yourself and making sure that you make yourself happy at all costs also means that you assume that everybody else, you're not trying to fight for your piece of love that was going to be somebody else's and now it's yours and now they can't have it. No, there's no shortage of anything. On planet Earth, there's no shortage of food. There's enough food for every single person on the planet. If money wasn't associated with food and food production, and if people were producing food with the thought of let's give everybody food, everybody would have food. Everybody would have clothing. Everybody would have all the resources that they need. There's more than enough to go around. And there's more than enough in the universe, more than enough love. So your first responsibility is to value yourself, to understand, as I said earlier, that the only thing that is required for you to be accepted by every single conscious being in the multiverse, which is, can you imagine infinity? It has to be beyond trillions. I can't imagine how many 10 trillion beings is. My mind can't go that far. But I know there are more than 10 trillion conscious advanced beings in the universe. And every single one of them sees me as their close family member. They see themselves in me. They love me completely, totally, unconditionally, and the same is true for you. So there's no dichotomy between, well, if I go after what I want, then I'm going to be harming somebody else. That's impossible. In fact, when you do what is best for you, you automatically balance the energies so that other people can have what they want. Now, it's up to them if they want to see themselves as being loved and being worthy. That's out of your control. But you are setting an example. Energetically, you're creating it. And the more that you make yourself happy, the more other beings in the universe become happy and become conscious. So the second method of the transdimensional revolution is to reverse personal devaluation programming. The third method of the transdimensional revolution is to practice spiritual energy practices that destroy 3D limitations. That is completely what this channel is about. If you are watching my channel and the only thing you do is watch and listen to me, you are getting almost nothing. It's like walking into a restaurant and walking out with a napkin. The whole point of being in the restaurant was to eat food. You are here to nourish yourself. And I can't do it for you, no matter how deep or wonderful or wise my words may or may not be. I cannot do the work for you, but you can. And the good news is that there's so many different energy practices. There are thousands of different energy practices and meditation practices. There isn't just one or two. It's a smorgasbord. And you can find an energy practice that you will enjoy doing, that will be easy for you, and that will feel good when you do it. And when you do these practices, you will destroy the limitations of the third dimension. You will destroy your feeling of isolation, your feeling of exclusion, your feeling of not being seen, heard, and loved. You will destroy it. And just by doing energy practices, you are destroying evil, because, as we said, that's what evil is. Evil is nothing more than some force that seeks to devalue you, to take your validity of existence away from you. Every time you do meditation, every time you do mantra, every time you do the Maoshan practices, every time you do Qigong, every time you do yoga, every time you do anything that is meditative, that connects to spiritual energy, you empower yourself, you enlarge your feeling of validity, you destroy evil by doing that. You also destroy the limitations of the 3D. And you destroy the power of the elite to control you. But you have to do the work. Nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody can do it for you. I'm sorry to say, Jesus can't save you. He can't do the work for you. He says he can, but he can't. Like Odin said, I sacrificed myself to myself. And as a result, he saw the runes, the mysteries of the universe. Screaming, he took them up. You also must do the work. You must find your connection to this, to the value of the universe. The good news is you don't have to come up with your own value. All you have to do is to connect to an energy field that is greater than you, and the value will pour into you. You will feel the love of the universe immediately. You want me to if you want to prove me wrong, here's my challenge to you. Go up here to thunderwizard.com. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. You can unsubscribe whenever you want. Go and find Phase 1. Morning practice. It's a video, and I'm simply doing movement and breath. That's it. But I've spent 30 years combining the three most powerful energy practices that exist, that have been given to us by these higher dimensional beings. Some of them thousands of years ago. Qi, the Chinese, the Eastern Asians mastered the power of life force energy, which they call Qigong. The East Indians, who mastered the power of what we call Kundalini, which is the electromagnetic energy that goes up the spinal column of awareness. And then the Maoshan, who got their teachings from the highest, I'm saying perhaps the ninth dimension, the realm of greatest purity. They learned how to open up the lightning center of the heart, which normally stays dormant, protecting the soul from the harshness of three-dimensional reality. They figured out very simple movements that reverse that, so the electricity goes throughout your whole body. When you have all three of these energies, I guarantee you, you will feel the consciousness of the universe. What you do with it is completely up to you. But I guarantee you, if you do the work, you will have an experience. All right, what's next? So, by practicing spiritual energy practices that destroy 3D limitations is the third method of revolution. The fourth method of revolution, which will shatter, absolutely, completely shatter and demolish the wall of the third dimension. This is initiating contact and creating relationships with interdimensional beings. And now things get really interesting. Up until now, in the history of planet Earth, there has never been a time in the entire history of the planet, in the entire history of the human race, in the entire history of the universe, there has never been a time like right now. Right now, what is happening is that the human race, which was designed to live solely and completely within the confines of the third dimension, that is coming to an end. Human beings are now going to be switched up into a higher dimensional existence. That cannot be reversed. It is going to happen. It is already happening. Nothing anybody can do will stop that. Nothing. Because of that, beings that live in higher dimensions are now seeking to show you their true essence, their true identity, their true reality. They are seeking to do this for you because up until now, the third dimension boundary was so thick and so impenetrable. The only way they could interact with you was through ways that you could interpret only on a spiritual level. Angels, spirit guides, fairies, genies, elves, leprechauns, beings of light, ascended masters, deities. This was the only way that they could interact with you. Because if they told you what they really were, human beings, number one, wouldn't know how to comprehend it. But beyond that, the barrier between the third and the fifth dimension and higher was so thick that the only way they could do that was in those particular ways. And they have been working with people's religions. So if you were a Christian, Jesus would appear to you. An angel would appear to you. If you were a Buddhist, the Buddha would appear to you. If you were a Catholic, it would have been Mary. It would have been something, and I know because this happened to me. While I was a born-again Christian, I literally saw Jesus in the sky, in the clouds. It wasn't Jesus. But when a higher dimensional being wants to communicate truths for you, because they can see everything in you. They can see your past, your future, your karma. They can see everything. And when they see that you need some kind of spiritual or higher dimensional intervention, which is really more accurate, they will appear to you in whatever form you can tolerate. And you'll say, yes, I saw Mother Mary. She appeared to me, and I saw an angel in my hospital room. These are actually beings that are in higher dimensions. And sometimes all they have to do is just appear to you, in their higher dimensional state, and then you'll paste onto them whatever you want. I know, because I did that too. I've had numerous experiences, and now with hindsight, I can look back and go, ah, that was you guys. Ah. But I didn't know. I didn't know what I was looking at. But now, finally, for the first time in history, you are being given an opportunity to see them for who they are. And more importantly, whereas 50 years ago, 100 years ago, if you had one or two spiritual experiences in your life where you saw an angel or something like that, or you had a shamanic dream, that's, you were good for the rest of your life. That was pretty much it. It wasn't going to be a lot more than that. If you tried to connect beyond that, you probably wouldn't get anywhere. You could pray and maybe, but having that kind of experience again is probably not going to happen. Well, that's because these higher dimensional beings had to respect the boundaries between dimensions. They had to. It's impossible for you to interact with anything beyond third dimension. It's impossible. So even if you wanted to go and connect with them, you couldn't, unless there was a thinning of the dimensional barriers, which there is now. And because of this is not something that's going to reverse. Because of this, these higher dimensional beings are finally wanting to have face-to-face equal interaction with you. Now, why is this important, and what does this have to do with the revolution? Because if you can initiate contact with these beings, I guarantee you, more than I can't overstress the word guarantee. If you make contact with a higher dimensional being, I guarantee you whatever manipulation, whatever programming is being done to you by the elites will be destroyed. Now, your understanding of reality as you know it will also be destroyed. And this is something that they couldn't do because human beings were light beings like themselves who chose to come into the third dimension to have a third dimensional experience. And so if you kept appearing as an angel in front of them, you're going to destroy that third dimensional experience because they're going to figure out pretty quickly this third dimension, there's something else going on. There's something beyond that doesn't... Then they won't be able to focus on just having a 3D life. So the fact that these beings are working so hard to get your attention, all of the UFOs flying through the air, all of the spiritual experiences that people are having. I mean, I'm just thinking of a handful of people in my life, and I don't have a lot of people in my life, but a handful of them, have said things. I haven't said anything, but I can't help but feel like there are aliens around me all the time. I've had this weird dream. Everybody's the dimensional barrier starting to come apart. People are starting to notice. It's like you're looking into your neighbor's yard and it's like, oh my God, that's so weird. It's because everything is shifting now. And I'm here to tell you that these higher dimensional beings want to destroy the elite. They want to destroy and defeat the mind control attack that is going on. They want to destroy, they want to protect you from the narcissistic, abusive control that is going on at the highest levels of human society and government. They want that more than you can imagine. I mean, I can feel them when I talk about it. They get very excited when I talk like that. They want very badly, but they also know that if they just appear in front of you, you'll flip out. You'll lose your lunch. You'll go bonkers because it destroys your reality. So you have to reach out to them. They might be a couple miles away and do some funny lights in the sky, which makes you go, I think I saw an ET. I wonder if there are beings in the universe besides humans, and then you start thinking in a different way. That's the best they can do, because if they do more than that, it'll destroy your reality, and they can't do that. It's damaging to you, and they don't want to damage you, they want to help you. So you have to reach out to them. And this is the brilliance of the CE5 protocols. The CE5 protocols, I believe, were introduced by the higher dimensional beings to Dr. Greer so that human beings would have a way to connect to higher dimensions without going bonkers and without having their boundaries demolished. Because that's what happens. When you experience higher dimensional energies, your third dimensional boundaries get completely demolished. And if that happens without your conscious initiation, then it's destructive. So they're not going to do anything destructive to you. So this means if you want to actively fight against the elites who are destroying your planet, your world, the most powerful way you can do that is to destroy the illusion of 3D. When you seek to initiate contact with higher dimensional beings, you've poked a hole into the 3D, two-way mirror that most humans can't see past. You've now poked another hole into it. And when enough people are doing it, then even people who aren't doing CE5 are going to start to awaken to the reality of the lies that are being told to them. In other words, the elites won't be able to control you. And what you may not know is that everything that's happened, like if you look at the past 2 years, everything that's happened where people's power has been taken away from them, it was because a majority of people chose to go along with it. They chose to allow somebody to break the Constitution, to demand that you do certain things that you shouldn't have to do if you don't want to do. I can't even mention it because even YouTube won't give me the rights to speak freely. I have to make sure that I don't say anything that goes against their terms of service. So every time that you initiate contact with a higher dimensional being, you destroy and take away their ability to manipulate and to hypnotize the rest of the world. So the fourth method of revolution is to initiate contact by creating relationships with interdimensional beings, and that is the CE5 protocols. The fifth method of revolution is real simple: living a free, fulfilling, and spiritually vibrant life. Live a free, fulfilling, and spiritually vibrant life. That means that you make the commitment. I'm not going to do a job I don't like doing. I'm not going to go get a job that is damaging to my spirit, that is damaging to my creativity, that makes me feel unfulfilled. I'm not going to go do a job simply because I need to go throw my time away so that I can pay for food and clothing. And to have a job just so you can survive, it's slavery. It's slavery. We have a society now that if people choose not to work, they end up homeless. But it's not like they're Native Americans running around, It's not like you've got society and then you've got all the forest people. Well, they choose not to be part of society, so they're living in the forest, living off the land, and they hunt and they fish, and they're happy, they don't... No. In our cities, in our world, if you choose not to work, you end up homeless. And if you end up homeless, you can't do anything. Unless you live in San Francisco, apparently they pay you to be homeless there, is what I'm finding out. But for the most part, society is designed to keep you a slave. And if you choose not to be one of the slaves, then you won't have the ability to live. And you think about that. I mean, we came to this continent 400 and some years ago, and there were people that didn't have jobs. Not like we understand it. And there are places in the world where people don't have jobs. They live in nature, and they get up and they hunt and they fish, and they might sow some things and they might weave some this, and but they're not sitting thinking about, okay, I got to get up to work at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're not thinking about that. If they have to go to work, meaning they have to go get food, it's something they choose to do. They're hungry and they go, you know what, I need to go hunt now. I need to go fish now. I need to go gather some food out of the ground. But no, if you live in society, you are a slave. Unless you are a transdimensional revolutionary, in which case, number 5, you choose to live a free, fulfilling, and spiritually vibrant life. The most important book I have is this one, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Let's see, that's, when you want spell check to work, it doesn't. And when you don't want it to work, it does and makes up words you weren't trying to say. Okay, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can go, again, all of these links are here if you pay attention. Don't say, where can I find your books? Well, you've been watching me for an hour now, and there's a link right here, courses.thunderwizard.com, which will take you to all my books. Or you can simply type in my name into Amazon, or you can type in the title of the book into Amazon. But even then, if you don't want to pay the pennies that it costs to buy the book, because you can't stand the idea of having to buy anything, well, lucky for you, I have already read my book aloud onto this channel. And you can go look for The Secret Commandment, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to the Perfect Life, and you can sit back and listen to me read the book for you for free. I'll sit by your bed and read to you. What's in that book is the most important thing I teach. And it's the thing that is one of the most challenging, which is exactly what I said here, which is to live a free, fulfilling, and spiritually vibrant life. Here's the truth. Even though we live in a society that is designed to enslave you, to keep you attached to the metaverse, plugged in IV with, liquid Oreos and watching through 3D things and typing stuff out and doing something to make Bill Gates richer. Even though we live in a society that's designed to enslave you, you don't have to live that way. Because the truth is, the rules still exist. The rules of higher dimensions still exist, which is that you have value simply because you exist. And the only thing that you are required to do as a conscious living being in any dimension, the only thing you are required to do is to bring joy to your spiritual essence, to your soul. If you are able to, there's some people that can't, unfortunately. I try and help them with that. It's challenging, but pretty much everybody has the ability to know what it is that makes them happy. I went surfing today for an hour and a half, and I was lying, I'm an old man, so when I go surfing, I have to lie around all day because, I have to recover. But it's the thing that brings me the greatest joy. It's the driving force in my life. Everything I do revolves around that. Everything I do is designed to create a life so that I can do that whenever I want. That I can go and go, oh, look, the waves are good. I'm going surfing right now. And I do that because I am obeying my soul. That's what my soul told me. And it was very challenging because my head told me I had to be a famous actor. My head told me I had to be a billionaire. My head told me I have to be married with kids. My head told me I have to be all these things. But I can remember when I had sales jobs, when I was an actor, I had to have jobs because, when you're an out-of-work actor, you're not making any money. So I took sales jobs, and I would always end up number 2 salesman. I wouldn't even try, but I'd always end up being the number 2 salesman. And so very quickly I would end up being number 2 salesman, and there would be talk about, giving me some kind of managerial position or something. I don't know. And I never really let it get that far because I'd end up quitting because I couldn't tolerate it. But I remember, I'd sit in my cubicle all day and I'd be hammering away at people. Back then I actually had to pick up a landline and hammer people on the phone. And I'd hammer away at whatever it was that they didn't need to sell them something. And my goal was, to make enough money to survive and eat. And I remember driving home. I'd drive home the same way every day. And I'd loosen my tie, because even though I'm talking with people on the phone, for some stupid reason I have to wear a tie, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Why do people even wear ties? Monkey suit. Ridiculous thing. I'm driving down the highway past the ocean, and as the sun is going down, there are people out there surfing, and here's the thought that would enter my mind every time. To be like, those people are actually living. And I just threw my day away into the toilet. Even though I had a stack of money, which is supposed to give me value. A stack of money that I made, that guy. And then I start thinking, you know what? I would live in a freaking cardboard box if I could just go surfing every day like that guy over there seems to be doing. Well, you can. Your equivalent of surfing, you can do that. And the universe will pay you to do it. The universe will pay you. In when we get it out of 3D, we won't need banks or money anymore, but you will still need to have resources. The universe will give you resources to do the thing that gives you joy. In fact, when we get out of 3D, what we're going to teach little kids is that their job is to be happy. We'll never tell kids that they have to grow up and give to society. We'll never have to do that, because they will be doing something that makes them happy. And what you'll find out is that what makes a lot of people happy is doing things that help others. So, the 5th way that you can revolt against the 3rd dimension is to live a free, fulfilling, and spiritually vibrant life. All right, so let's walk through these without going through them. This is a transdimensional revolution. If you want to join me in that revolution, I am going to commit the rest of my life to it. The goals of this revolution, number 1, is to disconnect all human awareness from the mind control influence of the 3D corporate elite. The second goal of the revolution is to reveal to humans their true identity as free citizens of the conscious multidimensional universe. The third goal of this revolution is to awaken the inherent dormant 5D spiritual energies of all humans. The methods of revolution. You have to take action in a revolution or nothing happens. Number 1, the first method of revolution is to reject the elite mainstream narrative. Second method of revolution is reversing personal devaluation programming. The third method of revolution is to practice spiritual energy disciplines that destroy 3D limitations. #ThunderWizard.com. The fourth method of revolution is initiating contact and creating relationships with higher interdimensional beings. And the fifth and final and the most important method of transdimensional revolution is to live a free, fulfilling, and spiritual, vibrant life. And I would like for you to please remember #transdimensional revolution, since now we can all go back onto Twitter and say what we want to say. And let's see if we can make this a worldwide phenomenon. Let's see if we can get everybody who understands what we're talking about to be part of the transdimensional revolution, because people are trying to change the government. You know, here in Florida, there's a lot of people, I'm not just in Florida, I live in Florida. There's a lot of people who, understandably, and I completely agree with them, they want to get the current president out of office. And they want to they want to drain the swamp, as do I. They want to get rid of all the people that are that are part of this mainstream narrative, but they believe that the answer is in taking their country back. They believe that the answer is in politics. No, politics is a third dimensional thing. If you really want to be part of a revolution, we go beyond politics. We go beyond borders. We even go beyond dimensions. We don't even fight to preserve the third dimension. We are seeking to destroy it. It is the ultimate act of revolution. It is the ultimate act of rebellion. It is the ultimate act of what's the word? You're being a traitor to the third dimension. It's the ultimate act, bringing it all down. You want to drain the swamp? We got to get rid of this third dimension. That is going to take action on our part, and our higher dimensional friends, trust me, they are working so hard to make this happen, and they are working so hard to find ways to connect to human beings. There is an army, I swear to you, there is an army of trillions and quadrillions of beings that have power far beyond what you can even begin to imagine, who desperately want to work with humans, to protect humans, to empower them, but we have to choose that. So I invite you to be a part of this as well. Now I'm happy to take any questions if there are any. This is a question and answer. If you have a question, write the word question in all caps. If you also have a feeling, you can share a feeling by writing the word feeling in all caps. All right, so Vincent.thunderwizard.com. He was the first to say hello. He is one of my Vedic astrologers. You can go check him out at his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Buddy Kane Helm, honest feeling. I have finished the 90-day warrior challenge, and I am so grateful and excited to be purchasing and about to begin learning the 5-element spirit fighting practices. You mean this one right here? Maoshan.thunderwizard.com. You mean the one that is on, where is it? Is it this one? No. You mean the one that is, hang on. You mean the one that is on sale for $1,250 off? Like you will save $1,250 if you get it before November 11th? You mean that one? Congratulations. I'm happy to hear that, and I'm happy that you want that, and that you're going to follow through with that. I'm looking forward to hearing the results. Zarelath, honest feeling. I never minded. So, in an honest feeling, you're going to share a feeling in the moment. Zarelath, why do I have to keep reminding you what a feeling is? Anyway, you said, I never minded that you did not believe the conspiracies. I knew that your personal power was all the reality I need. Well, I'm glad that you saw through that. You have less judgment than I do. But the truth is that these guys were trying really hard to get my attention. You know, whenever I need to move up to the next level in my life or my career or my business, I will stop. And I've been doing this, I don't know how long, many, many years. I will stop and I will just simply close my eyes and I will say, what do I need to do? What should I do? And for, I don't know, it felt like 2 or 3 years. Every time I did that, the message that would come to me would be, listen. You have to listen. So apparently I wasn't listening. And so Zarelath, you were able to see past that. And again, you're a better man than me. Buddy Kane Helm threw $10 at me. Thank you. Now I can finally buy that yacht. I'm kidding, of course. Thank you. I appreciate the support, and anybody's support, of course, keeps the lights on, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're getting something out of the YouTube channel. And Carrie Kreiser is getting cold chills watching this. Good. That was my hope. I'm getting chills thinking about it as well. So I mean that, everybody. I mean it. I'm gonna dedicate the rest of my life to this revolution. And it needs to be something that people need to be aware of. People need to be consciously aware that it's not just a revolution for their government or their religion or their Me Too movement. I got nothing against any of those things. It is a revolution against the limitations of the third dimension. It is the most profound revolution in the history of the planet Earth, not to mention the history of human beings. There's nothing more important. This time that we're living in is the most important time that has ever happened. In fact, even if we go forward 1,000 years and we look back, you know what people are going to do? They're going to look back on this time. The people who fought against the limitations of the third dimension. You know, in the U.S., there's nobody that has more, bows they received than George Washington. Even though he wasn't the only person who, revolted against, Great Britain. But when people talk about, George Washington, you're the George Washington of the year, they're going to talk about you this way. If you are somebody that is doing anything, even if you live in this time, and you're one of these people that makes the shift, that understands and sees, and can expand your reality, and there's going to be a point where there are kids who are born. They're going to look back, even their parents, and they're going to say, "Mom, what was it like? Dad, what was it like back then when you had banks? What was it like when you couldn't instantly manifest your thoughts? What was it like when there was hatred and division? And what was war like, Dad?" There's going to be a time, Grandpa, come and tell us what it was like before we could telepathically connect. What was it like before you knew about light beings being everywhere? What was it like before you knew that there was an entire civilization in the Andromeda galaxy, that we now have this? What was it like before all that? There's going to be a demarcation point. We're at it. Whether it's going to be tomorrow or a year from now, I don't know, but we're there. And you are going to watch it. You'll be a part of it. So I have cold chills as well. Let's see. Somebody's saying they like my channel. Thank you. Thundra says hello. She is also one of my Vedic astrologers. Go to thunderwizard.com. Check her out and check out the things that she's got available. All right. Jackie likes my channel. I'm glad. I hope you continue to find what you're looking for. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. I met with my sponsor today, so he's working a 12-step program. 12-step programs, if you're not familiar with them, whether it's Alcoholics Anonymous or Al-Anon or Narcotics Anonymous or Codependence Anonymous, this is by far the most powerful psychological method that actually changes the neurons in your brain. It's easily the most powerful way to change yourself. And it also encapsulates within it what Buddhism actually tries to teach. So if you really want to know how to live Buddhism, go work the 12 steps. So he's talking about that. He says, I met with my sponsor today. It's hard to be vulnerable, honest, and open up. I agree. Rousseau Van Royen also threw another $10. Oh my God, I can buy 2 yachts now. Thank you. I appreciate the support, and makes me feel good, and of course helps me to pay the bills. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. Honest feeling. I'm feeling frustrated that most apartments are unaffordable for me. I understand. I don't know what more I could possibly do to get assistance. Good. I'm sorry. It's not good that you don't know what else to do or that you're not finding the assistance you need right now. What's good is you have done all the work that is you're capable of doing. So now keep doing the internal work. So here's something to do. You can go into meditation, any one of the meditative practices that we have. In fact, you guys don't realize it, but all of the rituals I taught you where you face north and you go all the 9 directions, Odin, Vili, and Ve, and you open up all of the 9 directions. You don't realize it, but when you do that, you actually open up a portal. And it didn't make any sense to me before. I don't have time to explain it, but you actually open up a portal to higher dimensions when you do that. And it's because of, no. It's because of no. Where the heck is it? I can't find it. Anyway, but I'm trying to help Vincent here. So Vincent, do that. Now that you've done everything you can do on the physical 3-dimensional level, now that you've committed internally, because I know you have, to get what you want, and that includes what you just mentioned, now you can do things like a ritual, and you can meditate. And when you face each one of the 8 directions and open up with the 3 ones, you can then imagine the apartment you want to live in, or the house you want to live in, or whatever. Imagine it. Imagine it, and then imagine yourself living in it. And what will have happened is that you will have created a portal in another dimension that now your intention can latch onto and pull. Now you have to keep working. So you have to keep taking action every time that comes up. So that means for you doing something every day for your business. I know you've got a business that you're creating. So you've got to do something every day for your business. You've got to do something every day to make yourself happy. You've got to do the things and the hobbies that give you joy. That is part of your work. When you do those things and you do the meditations and you do the rituals, the universe has to give you what you want. It has to. So anyway, I'm with you and I support you. Don't give up. Keep fighting. Is that it? That's it. Okay, no more questions. I guess we're done. We got done early today because today is Halloween. So, I'm on the other side of the country. So those of you in California can now go outside and trick or treat or go get hammered or whatever it is you're going to do to destroy yourself. So I know a lot of people like to do that. I know I did. Or you can stay home and meditate and do, those of you, if you really want to have a powerful Halloween experience, do a solo CE5 session. You can't get more Halloween than that. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. I'm all done. Again, the most powerful thing I have to offer you is the 90-day Lightning Qigong. Go there, subscribe. Not only the 90-day practices, the different levels, but there's a bunch of other stuff that I've thrown in there. Other Maoshan practices, which I'm going to keep adding to. So you can go there. I've opened up a new module for new apprentices. So if you want to work with me personally through Skype once a month, you can go to thunderwizard.com and scroll around until you see the level 1 apprenticeship option, and you can subscribe that there. You'll get a free Vedic astrological reading from me so I can get to know you better, which is worth $300. You'll get that for free. And if you want, again, the most powerful practice known to human beings as far as I know, go to maoshan.thunderwizard.com. Until the 11th, you will get $1,250 off the 5-element spirit fighting forms. These are forms, physical forms that I personally have done for 30 years that give you power from the lightning center of your heart, which actually connects to higher dimensional energies, which will literally give you the ability to fight demons with your bare hands at the highest level. And if you're just beginning, don't go looking for a demon to pick a fight with. But the end result of that is that you will be able to destroy negativity within yourself, self-hatred, self-sabotage, a lot of the negative feelings. Now, if you want to have the two most powerful things that I have to offer you, like if I wanted to try and become the most powerful sorcerer in the universe, here's what I would do. I would go here to the lightning qigong, and I would do one of either the morning or the evening practice of the lightning qigong, and then I would follow that with the 5 element practices. I would finish that up with the 3 ones meditation. So if you do the Mao Shan plus the 3 ones meditation, I don't know of a more powerful combination of practices. Many of you already know the 3 ones meditation. You can do any of the lightning qigong meditations or practices or postures with the 3 ones meditation. That is really the fastest way to connect directly. In fact, when I do the 3 ones meditation, I can feel the higher dimensional energies. You know, you can tell when you're connecting to a higher dimensional energy. I feel it very strong when I do that. Anyway, that's it. Somebody's throwing out some feelings on the way out here. Let's see. Timothy's all honest feeling. Regarding 12 steps, had issues with the God thing, even though they state, as we understand God, tried many paths, happy to use whatever works. Energy works for now. Okay, so I guess you're saying that energy is your... Well, since you bring it up, the 12 steps were written in the 1930s, and there was only 2 choices. You were either a Christian or a Jew. That was it in the United States. You didn't have any other choice. So they used the word God because that's the only thing people had. They now say a power greater than yourself. So when you really look at the 12 steps, there's 0 religion in it. 0. They don't tell you to believe in Jesus, although there are Christians that go. They don't tell you to follow any path. They simply say, you know, and they will tell you, if a doorknob works, pray to a doorknob. And they're dead serious. It has to be something other than your ego. That's it. And, you know, a doorknob, if you don't have doorknobs, you can't get out. So doorknob is a power greater than you because you have to use it in order to get out. So that's all they're talking about there. I understand, but it's a nonsensical thing because it really just represents people's resistance to going beyond their ego. That's really all that it means. Because if people spent just 10 seconds looking at it, they would go, oh, this isn't a religious thing. They're not telling me to go to church or go to temple or believe in anybody. In fact, they're telling me that I can believe whatever the hell I want. So I understand you're not alone. Almost everybody has that, but it really is that. That's how subtle the unconscious mind is, that it will create nonsense that isn't there. Anyway, if you want to worship energy as your higher power, go right ahead. Athemanimus, question, would you say that it's necessary to open up the 3 ones in the thunder wheel in order for it to be an effective portal? No. For example, heaven, earth, man, etc., or would it just help? You can. I mean, you can go right ahead and do that. You can, you know, I mean, when we say Odin, Vili, and Ve in each one of the directions, obviously I created that years ago for a reason. It's because you're opening up the 3 ones. You know, I mean, look, every single valuable indigenous practice has 5 elements, has 3 ones, whether it's Odin, Vili, and Ve, whether it's the 3 ones themselves, or whether it's body, mind, and spirit, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Everybody knows that the 3 ones are like the basic, like the bone structure, the backbone of, you know, the energetic universe. You have to have the 3 ones. Everybody knows that intuitively. So if you want to do the 8 directions with the 3 ones, go right ahead. But no, you don't have to open up the 8 directions to get the 3 ones to work. You can simply sit down and follow that meditation exactly as given. And if you're new to the channel, you don't know what we're talking about, you can go and look on this channel, learn how to search within the channel. You should be able to find it in the playlists. I teach you exactly how to do the 3 ones. In fact, I just recently gave a video about the Mao Shan mantra, and I also gave a very simple version of the 3 ones meditation. He says, I think I'm going to try it anyways. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, go for it. I mean, it's definitely not gonna. It's only gonna help, you know. And I do recommend that people experiment. You know, except for some things, you know, follow directions. But you know, you've been working with me long enough. You're capable of experimenting. Jackie, if you've got a question, you see above you see where Atham Animist writes question. You see where he's written the word question in all caps. That's so I won't miss your question. If you don't do that, I won't see it. So in the future, if you want to make sure that I see it, do that. You'd make me happy if you did that. You say, what titles should I search for in your videos for the meditation facing the different directions? You can go to look for the word ritual. You can type in, if you know how to search within a channel, you can search in my channel for the word ritual. And there should be a ritual, you know, rune rituals and things like that. And if you look around, you'll find ones that have you facing the 9 directions. But Jackie, since you're new to the channel, instead of going through all that trouble, my suggestion is you go here to thunderwizard.com. There are multiple levels. Even if you subscribed at the bottom level, that will take you through all of these things that these guys are talking about. When they talk about the 8 directions, when they talk about the 3 ones, the 5 elements, I teach you in depth. And I created the thunderwizard.com, the base level, you know, the introductory, the first place that you can subscribe to. I created it for people just like you that were new to the channel. We're saying, what do you mean 3 ones? What do you mean 8 directions? You know, how do I, tell me where to go on your channel? Well, it would be impossible. You'd be bouncing around so many different videos. When you go here and you subscribe to the Mastery of Shamanism course, you scroll down to the very first and it takes you all the way through all of them so you don't have to go searching around for it. Okay, so that's what I created that there for people like you. So go check that out, thunderwizard.com. All right. And if you want to see all the things that I offer, all of the practices and all of the services and all of the books and all of the video teachings, courses, you can go to courses.thunderwizard.com. And yeah, and of course, maoshan.thunderwizard.com, on sale only until the 11th. That's it. Welcome to the channel. Those of you who are new, I look forward to fighting this revolution with you. I will see you all next time.